Ah, college. A place for young people to go where they can expand their critical thinking skills, explore different cultures, grow as a human being, enter adulthood preparing for the future to be productive members of society, where their degrees matter and where they can truly flourish as they stimulate their minds and evolve into better people than how they came. Not anymore.
No interest in that. We are going to have a real conversation. The treatment for an ectopic pregnancy and a miscarriage.
A student at the University of Iowa is arrested after kicking over a projector during a Newsmax host's presentation on memes. Now that student is facing charges.
You're all spreading hate, and I hope you can live with that. But trans people are not going to be silent. Trans people will not be silent in their oppression.
Shortly after the meeting began, a group of students broke in, trying to shut it down. They shouted about transgender rights and also shouted profanities at the speaker, who is Jewish, calling him a fascist and a member of the KKK. During the protest, they also destroyed the Bible.
Alright guys, so today we're going to be doing a little bit of a longer video than my usual video. So hopefully you guys don't mind the longer form of this video. But I just have so much to say about this, and I have so much to show you guys about this topic that I just cannot contain it to just 10 minutes. So I'm going to be talking about woke culture, specifically woke culture in American colleges today, and how poisonous it is, how insane it is, how it's pretty much indoctrination camps, and how useless colleges are today versus what they were 20 years ago. So without further ado, let's just get into this topic, shall we? So I want to show you guys a clip from Elon Musk speaking with Bill Maher about woke culture, how it became, and why it is so dangerous, specifically in college campuses. Take a look at this clip.
I think it's been going on for a while. The amount of indoctrination that's happening in schools and universities is, I think, far beyond what parents realize. And I sort of came to realize this somewhat late. The experience that we had in high school and college is not the experience that kids today are having, and hasn't been for, I don't know, 10 years, maybe 20 years. Parents are just generally not aware of what their kids are being taught, or what they're not being taught.
I mean, Elon said it best. Elon said it best. It is insane when you think about what's going on in college campuses today. It's almost like these parents send their kids off to school expecting them to actually gain an education and grow as people, as critical thinkers, and instead they're going to these schools and they're getting worse. They're losing brain cells by going to these ridiculous schools with their woke ideology and their leftist agenda. It literally is, in my opinion, an indoctrination camp. I want you guys to take a look at this clip from a university in Minnesota, having college students repeating an oath that we're going to call the woke oath.
We, the students of the University of Minnesota Twin Cities Medical School class of 2026, we commit to uprooting the legacy and perpetuation of structural violence. We recognize inequities built by past and present traumas rooted in white supremacy, colonialism, the gender binary, ableism, and all forms of oppression. We pledge to honor all Indigenous ways of healing.
Oh, the medical world is gripped by structural violence and too much ableism and whatever. This is ridiculous.
You're insane. Are you actually insane? Could you imagine being in that auditorium? Let me ask you a question. What would happen to a student that didn't agree with that oath, or that found some of the things within that oath to be an issue, and they raised their hand and they said, I don't really feel comfortable with this oath for this particular paragraph? What would happen to that student? Would they be listened to? Would a discussion happen? Or would they be screamed at, yelled at, told to get out, treated like trash, made to feel belittled? I'm thinking option 2. I mean, kids are literally going to school, spending boatloads of money, going into debt for a lifetime for the woke oath. And this is happening everywhere. This is happening across the board in so many college campuses in the United States of America. Because what's most important is creating a safe space. And I feel bad. I feel bad for white male students nowadays, because if you go to school as a white male student, you are public enemy number uno Take a look at this clip from Turning Point USA, where a white male student was interviewed on his white privilege, supposedly.
I grew up as a white man, and you're the exact opposite, you know? And so it's like my experiences are going to be different from yours.
How come?
I think, there's a thing of like white privilege.
What privileges do you have that I don't have?
Oh, see, that's the question I keep asking myself, because like in this day and age, like all the laws, it's hard to speak on something I'm not fully knowledgeable of. So like, I'm sorry if I like make a mistake in saying this, but it's
Don't you think it's a problem in society when white people think that they have more privileges than brown or black people?
Yeah, and I think that's sort of the agenda that's pushed off, because personally, it's like, not that I think I'm more privileged than anyone else, because I had to work to get where I was, and that's like
So why do you have that mentality immediately where you kind of apologize to me, like, let's talk about privilege, let's talk about I'm a white man in America, so we could have grown up differently.
I got you.
Why is that your first initial reaction to me as a brown woman?
Wow, you're getting me good. See, these are the kind of conversations that I love having. And I think it comes from a place of like, I wouldn't say caution, but like in this day and age, people are so quick to judge and react and cancel. And so I guess it's that like caution to go into an interview like this. I'm like, I don't know where we're at, but now I know where we're at, and I can like go for real.
I mean, so he pretty much concedes that, number one, he doesn't really believe what he's saying, but he's just saying it because he wants to be careful. I mean, the moment she starts challenging him, he almost gets excited, like, wow, you're actually asking me critically thinking questions that's making me actually have to think outside the box. And it's almost as though it's foreign to him. Like, he's been at school for God knows how long, and not once was he ever engaged in a conversation like this, where a person of color is talking to him and asking him, why do you feel the need to degrade yourself to uplift me as a person of color or as a brown person? Why? What did you do to me? What privilege do you have that I don't have? Do I not have the same opportunities that you have? And he literally could not give an actual answer, which is why he conceded that, yeah, my bad. And it's sad because I'm sure he's one of many white male students who go to school and who then feel as though they have to take on the oppression of everybody else in the room who doesn't look like them. And they must take ownership of things that they did not do in order to prove that they're one of the good guys. White people are bad. What happened to judging a person by the content of their character and not the color of their skin? What happened to that? But, creating safe spaces is all that really matters, right? Addressing microaggressions, which is another buzzword that drives me insane. Take a look at this clip from students describing what microaggressions are and how pretty much anything can constitute a microaggression. If you breathe the wrong way, that could be a microaggression.
Microaggressions are statements that intentionally or unintentionally send a negative message related to someone's membership in a marginalized group. We visited campus to ask Occidental students if they agree that the following statements could be considered microaggressions.
I believe the most qualified person should get the job.
Qualifications aren't really the only thing you should consider when hiring someone.
If you're saying that the most qualified person is someone who is not a minority or not of a religion you believe in, then yes, that'd be a microaggression.
Saying God bless you after somebody sneezes.
Oh, that would be a microaggression because of different religions.
Yeah, it could be a microaggression to someone who doesn't believe in God.
I think that the harm there is relatively minimal.
Okay. So there's still some harm though?
I would say there's not harm, but if it's being asked, clearly someone found
maybe mini microaggression.
Perhaps.
Do you see any downside to creating a database full of statements that faculty and students make to each other in terms of protecting free speech values on campus?
Not in terms of protecting free speech value, but the idea of a database certainly raises eyebrows.
So yes, we do need a system where we can report our experiences, and that like a system of education or whatever.
It'll make a safer environment. So I fully support the council, and I think it's really great that the faculty is taking this initiative because it wasn't one of the demands. The faculty on their own said, like, we're going to do this because we believe it's what we should be doing.
Again, your children are going into debt to learn this. And it gets worse because it's not just students that are behaving this way, it's also faculty. It's also the actual deans of these schools. Take a look at this clip from Stanford University where a judge tried to speak to students and was heckled, was screamed at, was yelled at, was disrespected, was not allowed to actually speak and exercise his freedom of speech. So he actually had the dean of the school come to the classroom to help situate this whole mess. And instead of actually being a leader, this is what the dean had to say.
And I'm being heckled nonstop. And I'm just asking for an administrator to tell me what this is.
Your racism is showing. I would like to write something down because I'm so uncomfortable up here. And I don't say that for sympathy. I just say I'm deeply, deeply uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable because this event is tearing at the fabric of this community that I care about and I'm here to support. And I don't know, and I have to ask myself, and I'm not a cynic to ask this, is the juice worth the squeeze? Is this worth it? It isn't a setup. And again, I still ask, is the juice worth the squeeze?
What does that mean?
I mean, is it worth the pain that this causes and the division that it causes? Do you have something so incredible, important to say about Twitter and guns and COVID that is worth this impact on the division of these people who have sat next to each other for years, who are going through what is the battle of law school together so that they can go out into the world and be advocates? And this is the division that's caused. When I say, is the juice worth the squeeze, that's what I'm asking. Is this worth it? I hope you can look to the spectacle of it and the noise to the people holding these signs.
Oh, and look at this picture. Duncan can't find the CLIT, law student.
The people who are here to learn, the people who, just like you, absolutely are fighting for, working for freedom. You do not need to stay here if this is not where you want to be. I'm really grateful to be in this institution. I look out and I don't ask what is going on here. I look out and I say, I'm glad this is going on here.
Okay, first of all, what's with the... Are we at a poetry club? Are we at a spoken word event? Like, what is happening right now with these zombies snapping their fingers for this crazy woman literally trying to justify attacking a man for merely speaking, who was invited, by the way, to that school, to Stanford University Law School. He was invited to speak and was shut down. I mean, here's the actual Twitter thread of this incident. So you see here, Fifth Circuit Appellate Judge Kyle Duncan, who was shouted down by Stanford law students yesterday, says the protesters behaved like dog shit. He is calling on Stanford to fire the DEI, who was the actual dean of the students, who literally just co-signed everything. I mean, and her name, by the way, is Tyrion Steinbach, who claimed that the students were being caused harm. Duncan was causing harm by speaking. How could he? I mean, these are law school students. If this is the future of law, Lord have mercy, help us. Please help us. Then she encourages the students to leave. If you don't feel safe, you don't have to stay here. And then, of course, half the students end up leaving because she is encouraging them to leave. Please tell me, in what universe does that help conversation? Does that help critical thinking skills? How does that evolve students? You know what that does? That allows them to be put in a box, that allows them to create a false narrative of the world that if you don't feel safe, just snap your fingers and walk out of the room. That's not reality. See, in the real world, we must deal with each other. We must deal with difference. That means I may not like you. I may not like what you have to say. I may not like what you're wearing, but you know what? I have to coexist with you because we're adults. I don't get to shout you down, scream at you, and force you to leave a room and be silent. You know why? Because we live in the United States of America where we have free speech, freedom of thought. This is not communist Soviet Union. This is not communist China. This is not North Korea. But you would think it was, given how these teachers, these professors, these deans, and these students behave at these college institutions. Not only is it super bad with the whole microaggressions, but it's gotten even worse when it comes to creating safe spaces. It's gotten so bad that colleges have created literally safe spaces for people of color who are not white. That is modern day segregation. In fact, take a look at this clip from an Arizona college where two white students are sitting, trying to do their coursework, trying to study, and they get harassed and attacked by two girls who are not white, who are so offended by the fact that these two men exist in their space.
Yeah.
What did I do wrong? You have a better. You're offensive. But this is our space.
We've got a Police Lives Matter sticker and we're getting kicked out. Can't do school. Nobody's kicking out. You just said we have to leave.
No, I said you're making the space uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable.
But you're white. Do you understand what a multicultural space? It means you're not being centered.
White's not a culture?
So anyways, this is the violence that ASU does, and this is the type of people that they protect, okay? This white man thinks he can take up our space, and this is why we need a multicultural space, because they think they can get away with this shit. This is the only space that you're not centered, and you're still trying to center yourself, which is peak white cis male bullshit.
Let me just say this. As a person who is not white, I guess you would call me a person of color. I hate those stupid labels, but for the sake of the video, we'll call myself a person of color, right? So if I was a person of color attending this college and I was told, hey Chuck, we have an area of the school for people who look just like you, or for people who are also minorities, so you can feel safe. So you can do your classwork and your schoolwork, and you can mingle amongst people who look like you, and you don't ever have to see white people. You know what I would say to that? No, thank you. You know why? Because I paid money to come to this school to experience the entire experience. And I don't need to be segregated to feel special. See, white students, they deserve an education as well, as I do. And separating myself from white students so I can feel safe is the dumbest thing I have ever heard in my entire life. I don't need special privileges. I don't need special treatment. I don't need to be coddled. That is offensive. I'm a human being first and foremost. And I don't mind mingling, talking, learning, and understanding people who look differently than I do. I don't need a safe space. What you need is a therapist. I mean, could you imagine if the white students decided to create a safe space for themselves? Which, by the way, given how they're being treated at these institutions, I wouldn't blame them. I'm just saying that they may have a case. But could you imagine if white male students decided to create a safe space for just white male students where they don't have to be attacked for existing? How fast do you think those students would be canceled, yelled at, screamed at, harassed, kicked out, gone viral? Yeah, but they're white, so shh, quiet. I came across these two clips which I absolutely had to share because they explain it better than I can.
I am so tired of talking about woke culture. That's why it's gone too far, more than anything else. No, free speech is not some right-wing reframing of whatever. It's the foundation of Western civilization. Upon this civilization is built, and the Enlightenment values that led to it. I don't have to make the point that has been made by far better people in the past, that the only way to deal with the problem of racism is to treat people on the content of their character and nothing else.
Because I felt even more compelled to help treat a different kind of cancer. It's one that affects the heart of our country. It's not a biological cancer. It's a cultural one. And given the reality of the world that we live in, I wasn't really free to speak about it as the CEO of a high-profile company. So I had to step down so that I could talk about it not as a CEO, but as a citizen. That new disease, that new infection, is spreading across our country like wildfire. It is one that even the best of science is not going to cure. And that new disease is called woke culture. It's the new secular religion in America. And its belief system centers on the idea that your identity is based on your race, your gender, and your sexual orientation, full stop. It posits that America is a systemically racist country, and that if you're black, you're inherently disadvantaged, and that if you're white, you're inherently privileged, no matter how much money you have, no matter what your upbringing was. Your race and gender govern who you are and what thoughts you're allowed to have. That's it. Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley summed it up pretty neatly last year, actually, when she unapologetically declared, "We don't need any more black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice," end quote. I'm gonna guess that I don't fit her description of what counts as a brown voice.
First of all, Vivek definitely gets MVP of the year because his exchange with Don Lemon on CNN was one of the pivotal reasons why Don Lemon got fired. See, Don Lemon wanted to silence Vivek because Vivek is not black, he's an Indian American, and because he had the nerve to speak about race relations regarding African Americans and speaking on facts and history, Don Lemon didn't like that. And Don Lemon literally told him, whatever you identify as, whatever race you identify as, you can't speak on black issues. Could you imagine a host inviting somebody and asking them questions on issues, and then when they speak on said issues, you're shut down because you don't have the right skin color? to speak on the issues. Don exposed himself in that exchange. But that mindset is what is running rampant right now in college campuses. But like Vivek said, it is a cancer. This mindset is a cancer, and it is slowly metastasizing and destroying the very fabric of this country. And it's sad because these kids are the future. They are the future. We're in trouble. Guys, I hope I didn't depress you too much. I just had to talk about this because it's been in my mind for quite some time. I've been seeing so many clips of these college meltdown students, these woke students going crazy, and this is a major problem. These kids have been coddled for years upon years, and now Frankenstein is waking up, and this is our future. This political correctness, this fascism and communism to shut everyone down that thinks differently than you do. That's what this movement is. And this movement is so dangerous. And we got to talk about it because if we turn away or we bury our head in the sand and we pretend like it's not happening, we're not addressing the issue. The best way to fight against this woke culture nonsense is to speak about it publicly on every single platform. If you enjoy my content, please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit my notification bell so you know when I post a new video. I'm also available on Instagram and on TikTok under CurlyBoyChuck, where I am being continuously canceled every single day just for you guys. I'm also available on Rumble under CurlyBoyChuck. I'm going to have a referral link in my description if you do not have Rumble. Click on that link, add Rumble, add me, and let's continue to grow and fight woke culture together. Until next time, peace.